Upper Deck employees were given exclusive Connor Bedard cards as an employee gift, but many have now turned around and are selling them for thousands of dollars online. Is this fair or foul? We'll debate now. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode of Cards on the Table. And I have to start today's episode with a sincere apology. Teapot, Doug, as I try to be a good boss, but man, I am sorry that I have not given you thousands of dollars worth of cards for you guys to go turn around and sell on eBay.
Yeah, I'm also sorry to hear that.
I try. I've given you some cards before, but nothing like these Connor Bedard cards, these exclusive autograph cards that Upper Deck gave all of their employees recently. These cards are beautiful. Gold ink signatures from Bedard, some of the first Bedard autograph cards ever to be signed. The back of the card says, "It is with great appreciation and gratitude that we, Upper Deck, present you with this employee exclusive card." It's a lovely gift, such a lovely gift that more than 20 of these employees have turned around and listed these cards for sale on eBay. One sold at auction earlier this week for $3,150. Now, it's worth noting Upper Deck has actually been giving their employees cards as gifts for years. They've done this in the past. They had a LeBron James Space Jam Jambalaya. They've had Kobe patch cards. They've had Connor McDavid cards. They even had a Tiger Woods Precious Metal Gems card, and a lot of those continue to sell on this secondary market for thousands and thousands of dollars. This is all a bit ironic because Upper Deck has very strict rules on what dealers are allowed to sell online in terms of Upper Deck product, but for employees, apparently this is fair game. But should it be? Teapot, love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to start with you on this first today.
Yeah, I think it should be fair game. Why not? I mean, obviously, it would be really nice if you could just turn on the money printer in the back and run off a few cards. Those influencer cards, even the signed ones by you, unfortunately, don't quite command $3K. But I think overall, the cards look really nice. They're very nice. This is nothing new, like you said. Those Tiger Woods purple PMGs are still doing really well. One just sold for $5,500 on March 24th. I would hate to start seeing a flood of these, kind of coming into the market where they're just suddenly like every month, here's a new on-demand employee exclusive that starts hitting the market. But this is Upper Deck's big athlete right now. This is their big athlete. This is their Wemby. It makes sense to me that it's almost like an internal celebration as a company, right? Like, this is a big time for us. I'm kind of thinking back to when the Pelicans won that first overall draft pick and everybody was losing their minds over the idea of drafting Zion. So I think it makes sense. And this could be really important money for some of those employees, that if they have needs, it's like, cool card, I'll take the $3K, put it toward whatever else my personal or family needs are and move on. And some other collector gets a chance to be a part of that
It is certainly a nice employee bonus without a doubt. Doug, if I gave you a card like this, would you have it on eBay the next day?
A card like this specifically? Probably not. Although I could use $3,000. I'd rather you just give me that so I don't have to make the decision. But considering what I know about Upper Deck and their extremely strict policies, I would be surprised if they're okay with this. I guess the caveat would be if they're giving this in lieu of some kind of a cash bonus or cash incentive, then it's fair game. But I think it's fine for the employees. It's a beautiful card, first of all, but I do think it's fine for the employees. Once you own something, can your company really tell you don't sell this? I mean, they can try, but what are they going to do, right? So there might be some ethical questions involved in that, but at the end of the day, I'd be facing the same dilemma. $3,000 is a lot of money. I could do some work with $3,000, but I don't know that I'd be quick to sell this card for $3,000. It's a beautiful card. It's an on-card auto of one of the most hyped rookies in hockey history. I'd probably hold on to that one for a little while, I think. But we look at the exclusives that they've done in the past. That Mike Tyson PMG is still one of my favorite Upper Deck employee exclusive cards, and they still do really well. Like, those cards are sought after. They're rare, and most of them command a premium. So it's probably one I'd hold on to.
Yeah, I generally agree. I mean, I understand why some people are upset about this, that the employees get the first crack at these awesome exclusive auto cards. But as an employer, I think it's a pretty cool gesture that Upper Deck did for their employees. I can't hate on them for that at all.
Let's just go sign an athlete then.
Maybe that's what, I mean, we had Chipper Jones here. Maybe we could bring him back and have him sign a Chipper Jones exclusive card for you. I think it's a great gesture by Upper Deck. I like the fact that they're doing it. I'm totally fine with it. You know, we are an Upper Deck dealer here at Cards HQ, so we are, you know, restricted by the rules of selling cards online. But even given that, I'm not really offended that these employees have turned around and sold cards. It's a gift. If you give somebody a gift, they're kind of allowed to do what they want with it. And in the sports card world, these things are worth significant money. So if you get a gift that's worth significant money and has a lot of resale value and you want to strike while the iron's hot and the market is really hot right now on Connor Bedard, I guess I don't have that big of a concern with it. Now, let me ask you guys this question, though. If SCI were to sign an athlete, if I were to give exclusive SCI cards for the holidays maybe this year, I'm not saying I'm going to do this. Don't get your hopes up, by the way. But what athlete would you want me to sign? What cards would you want? Maybe so that you could turn around and resell them.
Well, no, I wouldn't sell it if it was somebody I actually cared about. First guy I'd think of if it was like really exclusive, you know, near and dear to me would be Barry Sanders, obviously. If it's an active athlete, I might say Giannis. In either case, if it were those guys, it's an exclusive card. I'd keep it, barring some, you know, real strong financial.
Barry Sanders, you got expensive taste. I like it though. How about you, Doug?
Let's go with the hype train. We're talking about Bedard, a modern rookie.
Yeah.
Let's go with Wemby or CJ Stroud, a guy who doesn't have their own autos and their own flagship product. Let's get him.
Doug has even more expensive taste. All right, I'm going to call up Ruben. We're going to see if we can get an SCI exclusive employee card for the holidays. Don't hold your breath. What you should be looking at instead, actually, gentlemen, is all of the incredible cards in PWCC's weekly auction this week. They've got some big ones. These weekly auctions, by the way, have started to get some huge cards. They've got a Ja Morant number /25, flawless patch auto rookie card, PSA 10, auto grade of 10. I think it's actually a decent time to buy Morant. Obviously, he's out for the season. People have forgotten about him. The little bit he played this year, he looked fantastic. He'll be back next year. Hopefully he'll look fantastic again. Doug, what do you have your eye on?
Going back to Upper Deck. So 2001 Upper Deck, Tiger Woods rookie. Probably the most iconic golf card there is, and there's a ton of those, right? But this is a BGS black label, and I've never owned a black label of anything. So it really caught my eye when I was scrolling through there, and you know, I'd like to add that to the collection.
They're nice labels. They're nice labels. How about you, Teapot?
Looks really good. I would say you would be hard-pressed to find a card that looks better in hand than the 1998 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor. There's a Kobe Bryant, number /100, PSA 10 gem mint. Really nice looking card.
There you go. All of these cards, plus many, many others, are in PWCC's weekly auction. Link below. And also, if you want to vault your cards with PWCC, maybe sell them on PWCC in the future, or just have them hold them securely for you, use promo code SCI, register the cards at PWCC Marketplace for their vault, use promo code SCI, and you're going to get free vaulting, free insurance, free storage for any card $50 or over, any graded card, promo code SCI. All right, guys, let's move on to talk about Data Dive this week. Teapot, you did a video, very helpful video for folks that are thinking maybe about how to profit off of the discrepancy in the value of cards from different grading companies. Yeah. You know, we know PSA 10 commands a big premium in the marketplace, and your video analyzed how you can find cards that could potentially be cracked and crossed over, submitted to PSA, and get a 10. There were some different factors you were looking at, like the gem rate reports on the, you know, how often a card is to gem. Tell us some of the highlights from the video.
Yeah, I mean, so you need to take into account all the different factors, the cost to ship, the taxes you might have to pay, the seller fees. There's a lot of different points of friction in this. I know it's something both of you have done before. You made a video on the channel before. The bottom line is one of the most reliable ways to make money in the hobby is through grading, whether you're sending raw cards or you're cracking and crossing. I look at something like gem rate for raw cards to get an idea. Okay, if I look this card over and it looks really good, then what are my odds of getting a 10 just based on that gem rate number? If you're cracking a BGS 9.5 or an SGC 10 to send it to PSA, it should be even higher than that and therefore a little bit more reliable. You're going to pay the premium. So I think you stack up all those numbers. And there's some opportunities. I use intelligence ratios for grade ratios to look at it one way, or just price movements, and you can easily see those gaps. Obviously, I was, kind of laying into those price premiums for PSA 10s a few weeks ago, but the flip side of the coin is you can take advantage of that if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. And Doug, I know you've actually done quite a bit of
Yeah.
cracking and crossing over. I've seen some of your work there before. What tips would you give somebody out there who's maybe thinking about trying this for the first time?
Yeah, so basically what I'm looking for when I'm trying to do this is I use the intelligence reports, look at the ratios. That's really important to understand what your best case scenario is and kind of worst case scenario. I have to be prepared that this card might not get a 10. What if it gets a 9? How much am I out? Can I break even? So I'm trying to buy really smart. I'm trying to break even if I get a 9, ideally, or not lose very much money in that scenario. But I'm looking at BGS 9.5s that have really good subgrades. Subgrades are very important, and I've come to trust BGS subgrades. Same thing with CGC. I trust their subgrades, especially if it's an older green label. The green label, before they change their grading standards, you can almost guarantee those things cross over well. SGC, I don't really mess around with a ton. Just they're inconsistent as far as their grading standards and how they align with PSA's grading standards. And an SGC 10, who knows what it's going to come out on PSA. Do my best to eyeball the card, right? If you can get really good high-res scans of the card where you can judge the centering for yourself and see the corners for yourself, ideally, that's really important. If you can get it in hand, that's even better. But ultimately, just do the math. Make sure that you're not going to get burned if you don't get the grade that you want. And then make sure that there's good enough upside there to make it worth your time to do this process. Be very careful. Don't damage the card. There's videos you can watch on how people actually do the process of cracking. That's probably the hardest part, honestly, is just not damaging the card yourself as you go through the process. But yeah, then, be smart about what the money you're spending and what your possible results are.
There's definitely money to be made in this. I mean, if you look at the percentage of cards that get an SGC 10 or a CGC 10 from the total population, most of the time that percentage is smaller than get a PSA 10 of all the cards being submitted to PSA. So generally PSA has a little bit of a higher gem rate compared to what an SGC 10 would get, or CGC 10 tend to be a little bit of a tougher grade actually to get. So you've got a pretty decent chance at a crossover. So again, if all the math works out and all the caveats you guys said, there's opportunity. If someone really wanted to turn this into their business and do this in bulk and really do this all day long, probably make a living off of doing this.
Just make sure you're reporting to the other company so you're not screwing up all the pop reports.
Yeah, I did mention that in the video too.
Yeah.
Really nice tip there for sure. All right, have you guys ever tried crossing over? Let us know in the comments below your maybe your best or maybe your worst crossing over story. Now, of course, in that video, Doug referenced Market Movers intelligence reports, and I wanted to give a special announcement that we are right on the precipice of having 3 million cards, 3 million in our Market Movers database that we are tracking every single day. It is by far the largest database of its type in the sports card hobby. Have we hit 3 million yet, Teapot? We're right there.
We're right there.
We are right there. We are right there. Check out Market Movers. You can now, in fact, comp any card you own in Market Movers. Go to sportscardinvestor.com, click Market Movers in the main menu bar, or download the Market Movers app on your phone. All right, guys, let's get into our mailbag topics for the week. This first one's interesting. Pete Rose is back in a Topps baseball product, and this is actually the first time in a while. He's had some cards in Topps WWE. He was in a Topps Decade of Dominance card, but according to Trading Card Database, the actual real legit last Topps baseball card of Pete Rose was back in 1991. It was the Topps Babe Ruth movie promo. So it seems that as Major League Baseball distanced themselves from Pete Rose, all the gambling, all that kind of stuff, it seems as though that Topps distanced themselves from Pete Rose when it comes to baseball cards as well. And this makes some sense. I've learned that Major League Baseball actually reviews Topps checklists and their card designs and everything like that before they go to print. So I'm sure there's some influence there. Major League Baseball maybe told Topps to move away from Pete Rose cards. Who knows? But he's back in the product. He's back in 2024 Bowman. He is going to have retrofractor cards in 2024 Bowman, a auto card and a base card. This is the second year of retrofractor cards. Last year they had Babe Ruth and some others. This year they're going to have Pete Rose and some others. T-Ball, what do you think about this? Is this big news for Pete Rose and the baseball card hobby?
Well, first off, the irony isn't lost on me of the timing of a Pete Rose card coming out on the heels of Ohtani and that issue. Obviously, that wasn't planned. At least I don't expect that it was. But, I mean, overall, there is an added element of intrigue here with it being Pete Rose. The retrofractors in general, they don't move the needle a ton for me. They're not something that I'm chasing, but I do think it's an interesting concept. And what I think is really interesting is that they're sort of slow dripping 2 or 3 or 4 athletes at a time in these products. I like that they're not flooding it with all of these different cards. They're kind of letting that evolve over time. This could be a really interesting complete set, so to speak, year over year, product over product type of complete set that people want to chase. Obviously, last year we had, you mentioned Babe Ruth, there's Roberto Clemente, Johnny Bench, Carl Yastrzemski, Josh Gibson. Some of these are still doing really good money. The Carl Yastrzemski Superfractor Auto Redemption card just sold for $37.50 in December. Josh Gibson Red did $1,300. The Babe Ruth still selling for over $200 raw. So these cards, obviously there are people who are really interested in them. If I'm Fanatics, and maybe they've done this, I'd really like to talk to and understand the people who are buying these on the secondary market. Like, who is this for? Is it for vintage people who like to dabble in modern? Is this for brand new people? That's the part that I'm trying to wrap my mind around, because it does seem like there's some staying power in spite of these having come down. What this means for Pete Rose cards, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this does mean they're starting to open up and cozy up to him a little bit more.
Doug, I know you're not a big baseball collector, but are you now dropping everything to go out and get one of these Pete Rose retrofractors?
Oh, no way. But I do want to say that I'm glad to see, Pete Rose walk so that Shohei Ohtani could run. I commend him for his sacrifice in that regard. But I think what's interesting about what you said is I'd like to see who's buying these, like who is interested in that particular card. My interaction with baseball fans have always been, or baseball collectors, very old school, very traditional. Seems like something they would not be a fan of. So I do think that's kind of interesting. I kind of like it, but at the same time, I'm also not, in the market for those either. I think it would be cool to see, them continue to do that as long as it's the right type of player. It needs to be like pre-chrome, pre-parallel, right? For me, maybe if it were some of the guys I liked growing up, like a Cal Ripken or a Ricky Henderson, something that's a little bit more modern that I can resonate with, I would like it a little bit more.
Okay, there you go. Who would you like to see as the newest retrofractor card? Let us know in the comments below who the next retrofractor should be. I like Shoeless Joe Jackson. Can we get Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Put in a call.
I think that'd be a good one.
While you're working on getting us those employee exclusive cards.
All right, we'll work on that. Maybe the two can be combined.
Black Sox
into one.
complete set.
And who knows? All right, guys, our second mailbag topic from the week. Topps and F1 have renewed their exclusive deal. This means we are going to see Topps continuing to produce F1 cards for some time. They've done a very nice job of creating a whole variety of F1 cards. Obviously, you've got the Topps Chrome F1, kind of the product that set the F1 collector world on fire back in 2020, but now you've seen higher end products like Dynasty with really cool patches and everything like that, and everything in between. Is this a big deal, Doug, that now Topps and F1 are continuing to be doing this stance together for some time to come, or are F1 cards just kind of this little secondary thing on the market and doesn't really matter?
I wouldn't say it's a big deal, but it is a good thing. If you kind of go back and look at the history of this product, it's a very short history, but the Netflix show Drive to Survive comes out with their first season, and that almost coincides with the first release of the Topps Chrome F1 product. And there was a lot of buzz, a lot of hype around that, and it built a ton of collectors within the F1 card space, and it built a ton of F1 fans in America. But since then, it's all been on the decline, both the cards and the fandom. And I think you just have to remember that ultimately for Americans, it's not super easy to get involved in F1. The races happen at off-peak times, often when we're asleep, and it doesn't get a ton of coverage here. So you almost have to work hard to be an F1 fan in America. You really have to seek it out. And I think that is really hurt the sustainability of both the card market and the fandom. But what that could mean, of course, is that they're hoping to expand more internationally, because that's obviously a very huge sport internationally. This could be something that kind of expands that market a little bit more. So I want to see it keep going. It's, not something that appeals to me as much anymore. I kind of bought into the hype and then sort of fell out of it when, I just couldn't get involved in the sport. And the same guy wins every race, and that's also kind of a bummer. It's not a very likable guy either, if you ask me. So I find it hard to get really engaged in the sport, which makes me not get really engaged in the cards. And, for me, it's just a long-term prospect, hopefully gaining more international collectors.
Yeah. Are you more excited about this than Doug Teapot?
No, but maybe instead of like printing off cards, you can just change Doug's work hours so he can watch more soccer and F1. There's some overlap with soccer and some of the challenges that we've talked about with getting that to stick in the U.S. Overall, I think with something like F1, while it has come down significantly, I still hear a lot of people talking about F1 when I go out on the show floor here at Cards HQ. I know some of the people on the staff are really into it.
We sell more F1 than we do soccer.
That's what I
Believe
mean.
it or not, which is kind of surprising
Yeah,
because we've got a big soccer community in Atlanta United, but F1 we've sold more of than soccer.
Yeah, when I go out there, I hear a lot of people talking about it. When I'm at shows, I hear a lot of people talk about it. It's a smaller audience. It's come down a lot. But it is niche, and the people who like it usually don't just like it, they love it. So if they are putting in the work and the effort to track those races, I think they're really into it. This is a big part, the international growth for Fanatics. I think it's just as important as those leagues trying to come here to the U.S., and there's a lot of synergy between those two things.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing, right? Like, how do sports cards grow internationally? And if you're thinking about international growth, you're thinking about soccer, you're thinking about F1.
Yeah.
You're also maybe thinking about like cricket, which Topps Chrome came out with their first cricket cards,
American
right?
football in Germany is like becoming huge. So
It is. So it will be interesting. The international growth aspect makes this story, I think, particularly interesting and significant. And F1's trying to grow in the U.S. as well. Obviously, they added the Vegas race, and they seem to be, trying to invest here and continue the growth. So it'll be interesting to watch. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please give it a like. Please give it a subscribe. Go get Market Movers right now and check out PWCC Marketplace and their weekly auction. Do all those things, and we'll see you soon with our next episode. Take care.